The most talked about brand on my channel is Casio, obviously, and I always claim that it is very iconic, which it is. But today, the brand that I'm going to be talking about has contributed to the watchmaking industry in Switzerland exceptionally. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Swatch YGS732. But before we get into the actual watch, I would want to talk about the brand Swatch first. To understand why Swatch has been so important in the history of watchmaking industry in Switzerland, we need to first know about the quartz crisis. In 1979, quartz watches accounted for 55% of the 60 million watches produced in Japan over the year. In 1980, the total number of timepieces produced finally surpassed that in Switzerland, a timepiece kingdom, making Japan the top manufacturer in the world. So Japan kept exporting more and more watches, and Switzerland and America, who were still tied to the traditional way of watchmaking, were left behind. They suffered a devastating blow as a consequence. For example, exports of watches from Switzerland in the early 1980s dropped to half the levels recorded in 1974, their peak year for exports. According to one set of estimates, the number of Swiss watch companies dropped from over 1,600 in 1970 to fewer than 600 by the middle of the 1980s. What was happening was Switzerland and USA still made pin lever type of watches called the Rohrsdorf watches to support their timepiece industries. This whole field was destroyed by the low price precision of the quartz watch. Basically, the key difference between these two watches was that Rohrsdorf aimed at providing affordable timepieces which were, accurate, but with the introduction of quartz watches, they were much more accurate at timekeeping and also much more accessible, still at a reasonable price. So the clear winner between these two watches was obviously quartz watches. And now this is where Swatch comes in. Switzerland responded to this adversity with a new organization and strategy. According to a plan hatched by Nicholas G. Hayek, a consultant in a partner bank, the Swiss watchmaking industry established a new organization in 1983 by merging two financially troubled groups. SSIH, a group of major companies including Omega and Tissot, and ASUAG, a group including Longines and Rado. The newly found organization was called SMH. They believed that this new, branding and company was perfect for a second watch. Hence the name Swatch. The overall idea was simple. People who love fashion and follow trends often have multiple pair of shoes, jackets, trousers and shirts that are part of a rotation. So they believe that new watches should also be part of that rotation and people could, mix things up. Basically, watches were then considered as something that was just, for style, like a gentleman's piece of accessory, nothing too funky, not getting fun with it. It showed true elegance and class. But Swatch came into the mix and experimented things up, making funkier watches than ever with very abstract ideas and bright colors. He positioned the brand based on the idea that the watches were fashion accessories targeted at young girls and young women. Like fashion brands, Swatch started producing seasonal collections, and the watches were also sold at department stores instead of just watch and jewelry stores. On top of that, the advertising was loud, bold, and in your face. Everything about the brand differed from anything the watch industry had ever seen. Because now whatever I'm describing to you might seem like something that we see nowadays very normally, like koi bhi mall mein jao, there is usually a section where they sell watches and stuff. But back then this was not the case. You had to go into proper watch and jewelry selling stores to get a watch. Swatch was the one who made this new idea of making watches very accessible to anyone, anywhere. A good example of the great success of the Swatch Art Specials is the series of watches that artist Keith Haring designed. This combination of marketing and manufacturing expertise restored Switzerland as a major player in the world wristwatch market. Synthetic materials were used for the watch cases as well as new ultrasonic welding process and assembly technology. So the original intention of Swatch was to recapture the shares which were lost by Switzerland during the quartz crisis. It was also meant to repopularize analog watches at a time when digital watches had achieved wide popularity, Because during the quartz crisis, Japanese companies like Seiko and Citizen had taken over, so they introduced a lot of digital watches, and analog watches kind of, went in the background. The concept of an inexpensive watch marketed as a fashion accessory that you could own several of turned out to be genius. Add the incredible fashionable marketing and the collaboration with artists, and the brand remained a hit in the 90s. And it was that hit that saved the Swiss watchmaking industry. So that is how much of a big role Swatch played in this whole thing, because if it wasn't for Swatch, Swiss would still not be a major player in the watchmaking world. While obviously the success was huge, Swatch could not just sit back and relax. Other brands started to catch on. Swatch needed to keep pushing the boundaries of what was possible. It led to the introduction of a great number of new collections. This list includes the Swatch Irony, Pop, Chrono, Skin, Maxi, Automatic, and Solar. All of these were first introduced in the 1990s. And the watch which I'm going to be talking about today, the YGS720, is a part of the Irony series of Swatch. I mean, recently, Swatch collabed with Omega, the luxury brand, and people went crazy for it. I mean, first of all, yes, Swatch does own Omega, but still, this was a collaboration that no one was expecting. Now, at a very affordable price, I mean, at least more affordable than an actual Omega, people could have a watch with the Omega branding, like a proper Omega branding. And their Moon Swatch collection was a huge hit. People were waiting in lines for like 6 hours outside stores, and it was like sold out very soon. The Moon Swatch collection reimagined Omega Speedmaster professional moon watches in 11 different color variants themed after the sun, moon, and planets of the solar system. And right now, the Swatch Group is the largest watch company in the world and employs about 31,000 people in 50 countries. The group owns the Swatch product line and other luxury brands, including Blancpain, ETA, Hamilton, Harry Winston, Longines, Tissot, and Rado, and many more. So that was Swatch. Now coming back to our actual watch, the YGS732. It is a part of the Irony family, which has all metal cased watches. These include both quartz driven and automatic mechanical watches that can be serviced. This particular watch has 38 mm diameter, so it falls into the medium size range, making it suitable for a wide variety of wrist sizes. Its sleek design makes it easy to pair with both casual and semi-formal outfits. It has a pin buckle, also a day-date display, 30-meter water resistance, a loom which is great, which is amazing. I was so surprised when I first saw the loom because it illuminated so bright, and I was not expecting the numbers to also have the loom, which I don't really see often, at least I haven't in all of my collections and such. The strap is genuine leather, and you can see that it has been used very well, still stood the test of time. It has molded into the wrist shape, showing that it really is genuine leather. The YGS732 has a timeless black and silver color palette, which makes it a minimalist, versatile watch. The case is made of polished stainless steel, providing a durable premium finish. This metal not only looks good, but it also is known for its longevity and scratch resistance. Despite the stainless steel case, the watch feels surprisingly light, making it comfortable for all-day wear. The Swatch YGS732 is a great option for anyone looking for a classic, reliable watch with a Swiss pedigree. It combines style, comfort, and practicality at a reasonable price, making it suitable for everyday wear or semi-formal occasions. However, its minimal water resistance and mineral crystal might be a drawback for some, but this is a watch which truly will stand the test of time like it already has. As you can see, this watch has been worn very well and it still works. By the way, I had kind of a hard time finding the model number for this watch because usually the model number is on the back of the watch, and when I flipped the back, I saw SR721SW, which I then looked up and found out that is the battery which is being used, and could not find the model number anywhere. I had to search for it. I know I could have gone much deeper into the history of Swatch, but then this video would have been like 30 minutes long, so I didn't. I just gave a basic gist of how they literally saved the watchmaking industry of Switzerland. The work that it did was so amazing that like while talking about it, I had goosebumps. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for more.